Okay, so question 5 is basically it's a question that asks, should we accept a special order? Or if we did accept it, how much will it impact our operating income, and then should we accept it, why or why not? Okay, this also, there's a lot of information, and it's easy to be intimidated, but really this is not a very difficult problem. What we're looking for, again, are what are the relevant costs or what are the incremental changes. So, if we decide to accept the special order, we're going to have additional revenue. In fact, it's going to be 2,000 pairs times $25 of glasses. We're going to have additional variable costs, and we'll look at the variable costs in a second. And we may or may not have additional fixed costs. A lot of times we won't have any fixed costs, but in this case it tells us we need to invest in a special mold that costs $10,000. Well, there's some additional fixed costs. So what we're basically going to do is say, well, is the additional revenue greater than the additional costs, or is it less than the additional costs? And that's how we make this decision. So I'm going to scroll down here a ways so we can get some room. So I have the revenue, right? So my incremental revenue is 2,000 pairs of glasses times $25 a pair. That is an additional revenue of $50,000. We also have variable costs. So let me take you through the variable costs for a second. We know we have DM, we have DL, we have variable overhead. And this information is all given to us right here, $564, $720. That number, $270. This number, the 760, doesn't matter. That does not change. We're not incurring additional manufacturing overhead costs, at least not per unit. We know we have the 10,000 here we need to account for. So DM of $560, DL of $4, variable overhead of $270, that equals $12.30. And that would normally be our variable costs, which we would use right here. However, again, as we kind of read through and check off the numbers, it tells us that we would have additional variable costs of $1.20 per pair to do, related to this special die and whatnot. So I'm going to add the extra variable cost of $1.20 to come up with $13.50. So my variable cost is $13.50 per unit. I multiply that out, and that's a cost of $27,000. So we know so far, if we were to accept this order, that would give us $23,000 of additional contribution margin. But we're not quite done. We know that we have additional fixed costs of $10,000. So our operating income would increase by $13,000. So that's the answer to 1. If we accept it, what happens to operating income? Well, it increases $13,000. So, should we accept the special order? Yes, we should accept it because our operating income would increase. However, there are some things we want to include when we make this decision. So there are some non-financial, or potentially non-financial factors that we'd want to consider. And you'll want to make a note of these, right? One of them is, do we really have the idle capacity? Okay, so I think this problem said we did, but that's something we would always want to consider. That's not always easy for firms to tell unless you're really running under capacity. So you'd want to make sure, yes, in fact, you do have the idle capacity. You're not necessarily paying overtime for employees to do this, or if you are, you're at least factoring those up into the costs. And 2, you want to make sure that accepting a special order doesn't impact either relationships with existing customers, future sales volume, or potential undercutting potential pricing in the future. So, future sales and pricing are concerns you need to consider before we would accept this. And it is possible that if we have big concerns about that, we would say no to this increase in operating income if we felt like the detriment to our sales and pricing would be more than offset by that.